In this day and age, with all of the polarization and the division that we have across our country and within our culture, there is a common language that I want to share with you today. And I want to do that through a story. So, not long after I got out of the Air Force, I came home to build my extended family. And I spent a lot of time trying to figure out where we were going to actually settle down. The decision to come home was easy. Making the decision about where we're going to live specifically was a little harder. We settled down in Wisconsin, as it turns out, and it was a good decision. Now we've been home for 34 years. When I first got home, we didn't have any money. We had zero in the bank in terms of cash. We had no job. We didn't have a home. And so we just spent the first couple of months living with my mom and dad, our four kids, my wife and I. And in the meantime, I thought, what's the best way to actually earn some money? Since I'm a teacher, I could actually go and substitute teach. So that's what I did. So my first substitute teaching job was in a place north of the town that we decided we were going to come back to. And on my first day of class, I was excited. Everybody was excited in the school. It was the first day of school, actually. So I got right in at the very beginning of school. And I thought, okay, the easiest way to do this, to be able to get into the school and get to know people is to be able to spend a lot of time with the kids. Almost every class, because I'm a physical education teacher, almost every class would come to the gym and I would meet all of the kids in the whole school. So I thought that's just a great idea. And it would be a great opportunity to be able to connect back with the school system and our education, back in the communities and all that, since I'd spent 5 years in Turkey out of the United States. My first day of class, the first class came in, the teacher came in, and the teacher asked me if I knew Mikey. And I'm like, nope, don't know Mikey. And that was all that was said. I didn't think too much about it. Finished my first class. Second class came in, and the teacher said, hey, do you know who Mikey is? I was like, no, first teacher asked me that, and I haven't met Mikey yet. And so I could see she was smiling and didn't really think too much about it. But then when the third teacher in my third classroom in the morning came in and she asked me the same question, have you met Mikey yet? I had to say, no, I hadn't, but there was a smirk on her face. And I knew that Mikey must be some kind of a great individual because I had never had somebody ask me, so many different teachers ask me about someone ever in my life. So after I got done with those three classes, I went over to the middle school, ate lunch. And after lunch, I went into the main physical education, basketball, basically. And when I got in there, there were so many kids running all over the place. I blew my whistle. It was like they never even heard the whistle blow. They just kept running. There's one kid up in the bleachers, another one over in the basketball hoop. So I finally, instead of blowing my whistle, which wasn't doing any good, I said, does anybody know who Mikey is? And there's a guy that was near me. One of the kids was near me and he said, yeah. And then all of a sudden, everywhere, everyone stopped. The entire gymnasium became quiet. And I said, does anybody know where Mikey is? And immediately the kids that were in the middle of the gym separated. And from way on the other side of the gym walked this individual through the kids that had just separated, like in a movie. It was really interesting. And he came right up to me, got in my space really close to me, and he said, hi, Mikey. What do you want? And I said, hey, I need somebody to help me lead today. Will you come up here in the front and help me lead? And immediately the expression on his face changed. And he said, I could never do that. I'm not a leader. I said, you know what? You don't need to be a leader. I'll show you how. I just need someone to help me lead class today. So if you just go up here, stand right on this marker on the floor, that would be great. And I'll show you how to lead the rest of the class with the exercises. So he did. He didn't ask any more questions. He came right up, stood on that X that I had on the floor. And then I had to line up all the other students, get them in their positions so we could start exercises. And we did. We led the exercises, went very smoothly. Next day I came into class. When I came to class that Mikey was in, all the students were already on their marks, including Mikey. I didn't have to do anything. Well, by then I knew what the teachers had already told me about Mikey, but he never turned out to be a problem for me. He was always helpful. He was the leader. He was the person who was influencing the other kids in the class the most, and they just followed him naturally. And he wasn't a bad kid. He just needed a little direction, a little structure in his life, and I was able to actually help him with that. I went for about 2 weeks. The teacher that I was subbing for was supposed to be gone a lot longer than that, and evidently, whatever they were out on ended early, and so he was able to come back, and so they told me that my last day would be on Friday, and so for 2 weeks, Mikey had helped me lead this class. On Friday, my last day, I finished up with Mikey's class. I was downstairs in the locker room, and you know how locker rooms echo a lot, and I was doing the grade book, finishing up the grades because Monday, the other teacher would be back, and I could hear the door close to my office. I looked up, and Mikey's back was to me, and he was finishing shutting the door. And as I looked up, he turned around, and these huge tears were streaming down his cheeks. And I said, Mikey, what's wrong? And he said, Oh, Mr. D, what am I going to do now that you're leaving? Because you're the only one that ever cared about me. So I could have disciplined Mikey. I could have been a lot more disciplined, maybe even crass in terms of trying to control or structure the classroom, but just finding the person that was the unofficial influencer for all the rest of the students helped me be able to maintain a structure and discipline for that class and have a great class, probably one of the best classes those kids had ever had in terms of physical education. And obviously, I impacted Mikey. His word care, that I was the only teacher that had ever cared about him, was very telling because that word care is a common language no matter where you go in this world. I grew up in Venezuela for 4 years. I spent 5 years in the military in Turkey and the Middle East. And no matter where you go, people want to know that someone cares for them or cares about them. And that's a common language that whether it's Spanish or Turkish or whatever language you're speaking, care can go a long ways without saying a single word. So we can get rid of that polarization, that division, that divisiveness that happens to be out there amongst our cultures and our world today. If we could just spend a little bit more time caring for each other. And just like Mikey, there are lots of other people out there that are hurting or just crying to have other people to know that other people care about them. So with that, Trike on, care for someone today. Thank you.